welcome to another episode of our immigration podcast. My name is Saeed. I'm the founder and CEO of NextStars. We exist to help immigration professionals and entrepreneurs from around the world to expand their business, relocate, and make a better living in a new country. So today, we're going to have a very enticing conversation with Faruk from Black Sea Immigration. So I will, in a moment, ask him to introduce himself. But Faruk is a great friend of mine, a very tech-oriented entrepreneurial immigration lawyer, and specializes in business immigration particularly, and has been serving the community, primarily helping entrepreneurs that want to relocate to Canada to find the best pathway for them and enable them to make the move. So Faruk, please go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll then dive into the conversation and the topic of conversation today.
Perfect. Thank you, Said, for having me today. My name is Ahmet Faruk Ocak. I am a business immigration lawyer practicing in Toronto under my own firm called Black Sea Immigration Law Firm. I mostly specialize in federal and provincial business immigration programs. I help individuals from across the world investing and expanding their business to Canada. Today, Saeed invited me to talk about New Brunswick's business immigration stream. It's a provincial provincial nominee program that we believe doesn't attract enough attention from entrepreneurs. In my opinion, it's one of the most direct pathways to PR in 2025 in the current Canadian immigration landscape. I think it's going to be fruitful conversation for entrepreneurs, immigration professionals, or whoever interested in.
For sure. Yes, so we are going to, like, Faruk and I were looking at this because they made a brief update to the program, the New Brunswick Entrepreneur Program, and I was like, wait a second, this is like, when I do the math, like, this is a perfect pathway for someone that is really serious about like moving to Canada, starting a business, and have the financial means to contribute to the Canadian ecosystem. But everyone that I talk to, including yourself, they tell me, like, entrepreneurs don't seem to be as excited about it. But so before we get into the conversation, I wanted to share my screen. Like, our team put together a short video. It's like a minute long, just to give the audience, a sense, like a perspective of what are we talking about when we talk about New Brunswick. And then they will come back and I share some personal experience about New Brunswick and some questions from you, Faruk, about this specific program and kind of the ins and outs of it. So without further ado, I'll invite everyone to watch this 52-second video. Okay, so I think as many people, even in Canada, I find they don't have any sense of how New Brunswick is, or what are characteristics of New Brunswick. It's a beautiful place, first and foremost, like right on the Atlantic Ocean. You have the best nature, as good as it can get, and amazing seafood, but also like great business. Or some really big companies like Irving Energy, Irving Oil is a massive New Brunswick company, very local. I think McCain Foods also is from New Brunswick, although they have a headquarters here in Toronto. And the universities are pretty vibrant. The big cities are Moncton, St. John's, and Fredericton, the capital. So Moncton is a little bit more like, has a better downtown, I would say. St. John is probably the smallest amongst the three, and Fredericton is the capital, so it's a tiny bit more boring, but has a lot of government jobs and like university jobs and things like that. So all in all, it's a beautiful place. I visited a couple of times. And in terms of housing, is a lot more affordable than Toronto for sure, like for especially for newcomers. So, Farouk, first and foremost, like why, like what makes the program in your opinion very appealing?
Yeah,
What are the characteristics? And then
first.
yeah, and then let's talk about the positives first, and then we will challenge. We'll try to put ourselves in the in an immigrant's shoes, and figure out why possibly like what is causing the New Brunswick program to miss the mark. So please.
Yeah, thank you, Saeed. I love the video as well. I think it helps people to see what it looks like, the province. I agree, it's a beautiful province. I prepared a brief presentation on the PMP program, the eligibility criteria, etc. I'll just share it for people to navigate easily. So basically, it's a program that designed to attract experienced entrepreneurs, senior managers that want to invest in New Brunswick, move there completely, and operate and grow their business. It's a direct pathway to PR. We'll talk about how the process looks like, but I agree with Said that it's right now one of the um, most appealing programs that actually don't see a lot of attention. So we thanks to Said, we hosted this presentation to provide guidance on this for anyone interested in. So the first question I get from clients in consultations is, who is this program for? What I need to do? What are the qualifications required, etc. So first of all, there are a few requirements. For example, the age of applicants should be between 19 and 59. Finances, this is one of the most important ones. Net worth requirement is at least a total of 500,000 Canadian dollars.
Farouk, sorry, are you going to the next slide? Because we are seeing the first slide. I just want to make sure.
You don't see it, eh? Hold on.
No, I like please try to share again.
One
I
second.
figured because you were talking about some of the like details and I realized maybe.
Okay, let me try it again. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, thank you so much. And the presentation is going to be really helpful. Yeah, now it's perfect. Now it works.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, so the net worth requirement is 500,000 Canadian dollars for all industry sectors except agriculture. For agriculture sector, it's 300,000 Canadian dollars. Obviously, the province is looking for experienced entrepreneurs. The requirement is individuals have to possess at least 2 years of experience within the last 5 years, either as a business owner or as a senior manager working in private sector. Another very important requirement is that applicants have to have genuine intention to move to New Brunswick completely, invest majority of their time. Actually, they do give a percentage. It's probably gonna be hard to do the math, but 75% of their time has to be spent inside the province. Language criteria and education. This is one of the most appealing one, probably. The education requirement is high school and onwards, Canadian high school or foreign equivalent. Language requirement is minimum of CLB4 from all subjects from IELTS or CELPIP. I think this is especially great for entrepreneurs in their 40s, 50s that do not have perfect English skills, that are pretty good at speaking to customers, operating their businesses, but not very good at getting high scores from language exams. The one of the also very popular question I get from applicants is like, how do I spend this money? So the investment amount is, I think I forgot to mention it, which is very important. The investment amount is $150,000. But people are wondering, like, how do I spend it? The business people, by the way, entrepreneurs can purchase existing businesses in New Brunswick or franchise, or they can establish their own business as long as it's an eligible industry or type of business, which we will come in a second. Um, and most people think, okay, I'm going to buy a business. I understand that the purchase price of the business should start from 150K, which is not true. There are some expenses that counts as an eligible expense, and that counts towards this number of 150K. For example, if you're buying a building, land along with the business, that counts towards this figure, but it's capped at 25%. If you're doing some property improvements, renovations, etc., that also counts, but is capped at 25% as well. Production manufacturing equipment, if you really need a tool, equipment to do manufacturing or whatever, let's say you're making an ice cream, it's a small business, but you do need that professional ice cream machine. That all of these expenses count towards this figure, and there's no cap. 100% of it is accepted. I think this will be pretty welcome for people interested in this program. And this is also a pretty good one. You can include first 6 months of operational costs towards this figure as well. Rent, utilities, employee salaries, etc. Professional services are also accepted, but capped at 4% or maximum of $10,000. Business vehicle is also accepted. If your business requires it, you need to show that your business requires a vehicle. It's also capped at 5% or maximum of $15,000. And obviously, people should be aware that personal expenses, your mortgage, if you buy a house or condo, or your family car, obviously they do not count towards this business investment. Um, any questions, Said? Anything that
So yeah,
you want to clarify?
and if the audience they have a question, they can put it in the chat section, and we'll definitely attend to it. But I think one of the biggest questions that people would get, particularly from those that are in Canada right now on open permits, let's say like the Iranian policy or Turkish policy, Ukrainian policy, there's so many of these policies, is that like I've kind of been established here in Ontario, in Toronto or Vancouver. Like, what is that 75%? How strict is it? If I miss the mark by 5%, what's going to happen? And what constitutes presence, i.e., how can I demonstrate to the immigration authorities that I have had that intention? And what's the wiggle room? Let's say like I have had like encountered people that, let's say, they lose a family, like, member, and they have to go back to their home country for like sometimes like up to 6 months. So do they lose their application? What are some of the details of that 75% requirement?
It's a good question. It depends. It's a very strict requirement. We see this from other provinces as well. Obviously, they want to attract the investment and also the entrepreneur managing the business, right? They want you to be genuinely interested, not applying just to get PR. That's a very important part. Um, but there is no very strict requirement or clear requirements around this. They give a percentage, but again, I think it's very difficult to do the calculation of your time spent here on a percentage basis. But obviously, if there is an urgent situation that you know that make applicants to go to another country or another province, as long as it's a short amount of time, I think that would be accepted by the province, as long as you prove that it was a urgent incident. But I would say they're pretty strict about this. You have to move with your family. It doesn't make sense if your family, your children, live in Ontario or British Columbia or wherever in Canada, but you move to the province alone. This doesn't make sense in the sense that it kind of gives a impression that you're just going there, purchasing the business to manage it for the required time period, and then apply for PR, get the PR, sell the business, and leave the province. They do absolutely they do not want this, because the main purpose of these programs is to ensure succession of small businesses. So we know, Said, you know better than me, there are a lot of baby boomers, people that want to retire and sell their businesses so they can go and enjoy their life. The province wants to make sure these businesses are not dying, either local or foreign investors coming and buying them and keeping them alive, keeping the employee positions. So yeah, I would say
I
they're
think
pretty
I think
strict.
and you will get to probably like the process, how it works. But one thing that I wanted to mention for the audience and people that are gonna watch us on YouTube and elsewhere is that like in when you deal with these provinces, at least like in our experience, they're very accessible. I mean, like the like if you we are involved in the process, like, for example, we do have access to the actual like person that's like managing the department that issues these nominations, right? So and because of that, I think in terms of explaining it leaves gives us opportunity to be able to build a case, as long as we are reasonable. I think everybody wants to be supportive. Like the province is very friendly, and of course I think that's a big plus because you actually talk to a human being rather than a 1-800 number, and you're heard and you're like, and they try to understand you. It's a small town, but if you expect that I'm gonna just come there and then go, and like it's a small city, everybody's gonna know, right? So you're not gonna be able to pull it off like to that extent. But if there's like obviously like humanitarian considerations, I think that there will be a case to be built. Yes, please
Of
continue.
course, that is, yeah, it's and by the way, the province obviously retains all the discretion to go do interviews, check the business in person. So, we obviously don't recommend that. You just purchase the business and spend majority of your time outside of province. That would be quite risky. Um, okay, if you allow me, I'll move to the application process. This is also I think this presentation also makes it a bit clear to understand as well. But the first question I get is, do I buy the business first? Because people are skeptical, obviously, that it's a compared to other investments, it's relatively a small number, 150K, but it's a you know solid money for a lot of people. So people are like, do I buy the business and then apply? The answer is no. Although it's possible, if you're very serious, you wanna purchase the business and then submit your expression of interest and initiate the process. That's obviously possible, but it's not a requirement. First, you do a comprehensive market research. You identify the businesses that you're interested in a franchise, or you decide if you really want to do your own business. That's this. I would say this stage is the longest stage that I'm having with my clients. Obviously, they're doing online research, to identify an opportunity in a specific industry. Location is also important. People work with business advisors or experienced entrepreneurs like Saeed to get opinions. Most importantly, they conduct an exploratory visit to the province to see which city they like the most, etc. But it starts with research and business plan drafting. Okay, you identify the business, whatever you want to do, you demonstrate it through a business plan, a comprehensive business plan, and then you submit an expression of interest to the province, which is free to do. This business plan has to be very detailed, clearly demonstrate what you want to do, the timelines of the proposed investment actions, etc. And then you're able to apply for a work permit if you don't have one already. The province gives you a support letter. Let's say you're now residing in Canada. The province gives you a support letter. You apply for work permit, and then you go to the province. You have 90 days to start your business. They give you 3 months to initiate your plans, get to work, and then you start operating your business. After 6 months of operating the business, you can apply to the province for a nomination application. During the 6-month period, the province can again do interviews with you, can come to your store or your business location to see if the business is genuine. If you're there, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to be suspected about. And then once you pass that stage, and there are some business performance agreement that you sign, and then you do your reporting regularly, etc. Once that period is over, you're able to apply for nomination application. And there's a fee of $2,000 for this. Once you submit that application and it's processed by immigration in Brunswick, once you get that nomination certificate, which is a huge deal, that confirms that the province is satisfied with your investment. There's no genuineness concern. There's no concern about the scope of your investment. And basically, the province is telling you, okay, you have my nomination. You can go to IRCC and submit your PR application.
Okay, I have
Uh,
two questions. Can
of
I
course,
jump
of
in?
course, of course.
So number one, like this is like really gives us a holistic view of the journey. But if I'm in Canada on a, let's say, Iranian work permit, Turkish work permit, I can just go to the province, do my exploratory visit, and then write up an expression of interest and hit the ground running, right?
Yeah, yeah, but
So
there are some
technically, in a matter of 6 months, six and a half months, I can apply for a nomination.
exactly like that. But just this is a very important point to make. If you have a business in another province or a property, the province doesn't allow you to apply for this program. That's something to consider. And obviously, you shouldn't have submitted a refugee application or anything
Yeah,
in
of
that
course.
sense.
Yeah. But the second
As
question, the
long as
150, the 150K. So like definitely, if someone has a business in other province, like what are you doing? Like your intention should be for NB. But like the 150K investment, do they do it lump sum at the beginning? How do you show that investment? Is it going to go to the bank account of the business? Do you put it in a trust account for the province? Like how does it work? Is it self-declared or like how do they check it?
Oh, they so once you go to the province, you submit an expression of interest, you're drawn, let's say, and then you go to province, you have to report your arrival. Once you report your arrival, again, they give you 90 days to initiate your plans, right? Let's say your plan was to purchase a coffee shop in Moncton. You're supposed to work with a business lawyer to purchase that business. Let's say that business is 120K. And then you plan to do some renovations or get some equipment, etc. And then you plan to spend 30, 40K extra for those plans. Obviously, you have to report these updates to the province. How you do that is like you send a due diligence, you send a final agreement, purchase or sale agreement to the province. You show your business lawyer also drafts a letter explaining the process and confirming that the process is completed. And then all the expenses you make that you want the province to count those expenses towards the investment amount. Everything is recorded. You provide those documents to the province as well.
But you don't have to be successful per se in order to get the nomination. So long, your intention is to make the business work and you genuinely make the investment. No one's gonna come and say like, "Hey, look, I'm disappointed with your revenue," or can they say that?
No, no. Like one requirement. It's a bit detailed, it's technical, but the business that you're purchasing has to be already profitable. Okay. Um, it shouldn't be bankrupt business or anything like that. You buy a profitable business, but there is no expectation that uh, your business, the business you're going to purchase, has to stay profitable. It's a
But what about like a new business? Like if I'm starting a business.
No, no, like there's no strict requirement on that. And obviously, again, you probably know this better than me, but it wouldn't be a realistic expectation from the province because the business, it doesn't work like that, right? Like no one can guarantee a business will be successful. They just want to see your efforts. They just want to see that you're taking this seriously. You're managing your business. You're there, spending majority of your time.
Okay, got it. This is really great information. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Let me see my notes. Okay, so we discussed this with Said as well a few days ago. I want to talk about. Oh, by the way, this is the selection factors point system. Uh, all applicants have to collect 65 points in order to get the get drawn from the province's pool and submit their nomination application. In my experience, it's usually not that it's not like a express entry difficulty level to collect these points. Like for example, even if you go to the province to visit and conduct exploratory visit, you get 5 points. Let's say if you have over 5 years of experience in one industry, let's say food and beverage industry, and you are purchasing a coffee shop, that brings you 4 points, etc. There are a lot of, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this, but this is
Yeah,
something to
there are many
consider.
different pathways to get to the 65. And I was doing the math as well, like specifically for people that, with a CLB of 4, they don't qualify for any other program, right?
Mhm.
So for
Yeah,
for any other program, you need a CLB 5 at least bandwidths. And this is like if someone's, 55 and has a CLB 4, so long they have a good business plan, especially if they're here and they've done that exploratory visit, they're gonna still qualify, and if they
yep.
have, yeah, even if they have like a bachelor's degree. So it's very accessible in that sense. And yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, actually, in fact, it's like if they score CLB4, it brings them 5 points. The age, if you're between 19 to 49, it brings you 10 points. There are some experience category. If you have 6 to 9 years, for example, it brings you 12 points. Your spouse also can do something to add up to 5 points to your
Yeah.
score. So yeah, this is something to consider. This is also another slide that actually clearly show the process. Arrival in Canada, once you get, this is for people who do not
Out
reside in
of
Canada
out of
currently.
Canada. Yeah, yeah, out of
Yeah, that you arrive in Canada, report your arrival, start operating your business, and then operation period for 6 months, and then apply for a nomination request after 6 months. Um, One thing to note, applicants need to create one position for Canadians or Canadian permanent residents. This is an important requirement and a mandatory one. But if you are, let's say you're purchasing a coffee shop again, and this coffee shop has one employee aside from the seller, right, the owner of the business, and you're purchasing it, and if you're retaining that employee, this requirement is already met. You don't need to provide one more position for another person, which is great, I think.
And this has to be like an FT according to ESDC laws, with payroll,
Exactly,
all of that.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Everything has to be by the books. There are some critical compliance points I mentioned already. Site visits will be conducted. Non-compliance. Let's say you get your nomination certificate. After operating the business for 6 months and apply for PR. If the province detects that there is a non-compliance issue with your business, they can report it to IRCC, and probably IRCC will reject your PR application. So this is a commitment that, it's a serious commitment that you will play by the books, manage your business properly as expected by the province throughout the process, not just the nomination process with the province, but also during the processing of your PR application by the federal government. They can ask any documents, once again, financial documentation, and you have to provide. Yeah, things like that.
And do we
Um,
know, Farouk, do we know how long does it take from nomination to PR right now?
it's an interesting question. So right now it's about, as far as I remember, it's 12 months. But interestingly, this is very interesting. Sometimes I myself and my colleagues get ATIP notes from the IRCC, even to see their internal documents to understand how they process the applications, etc. So this PR application, by the way, it's not an express entry application. It's a federal non-express entry PR application. That's why the processing time is relatively lengthier. But I myself have seen, and a lot of applicants got their PR actually in a shorter amount of time, like 3 months to 6 months. And then some provinces, in fact, this I found very interesting. found this troubling and uh, talked to IRCC about it to make sure the processing time is longer, because they want to again make sure the processing is long to
Mm,
kind of test the applicants' genuineness and the seriousness of their plans. This is very
yeah.
interesting. This is kind of very new information. I never thought that the provincial or federal authorities would use processing times to as a test. But it is what it is. So it's the good people can assume right now it's 12 months. So I would say whole process takes 2 to 2.5 years.
Yeah. So, and okay, so but if someone's in Canada right now, then probably like within 2 years, like if we don't
Yeah,
have to wait for a
yeah,
work
sure, yeah,
permit, because
yeah.
I look right now, and this is another very important, like this is what appears from an IRCC, what's out there, what the claimed policies or what they actually say in the news is that they're going to limit the temporaries and try to convert these temporaries into a permanent residency, or they have to leave. Like there's one of the two options, and. And unfortunately or fortunately, this would, in my humble view, makes it a very good program for those that are here on an Iranian and Turkish policy, because like the refugee is now like completely like it's going to be inaccessible, for them. But we'll see to the way I read it if it comes to effect, which is more than likely. And like look, frankly, like they don't qualify for anything else, like the express entry is very competitive right now. The scores are like through the roof. And startup visa is another option, that is accessible, but this can possibly be even faster, frankly, if I look at it timeline was. If you're someone that you really want to stay in Canada, you want to go for PR, New Brunswick is like there's almost a taboo attached to it. Like it's a beautiful place. If you go, you're really gonna love it. It's
100%.
yeah, it's a really really nice place, and every time I visit, I love it. And look, you can it's much more affordable than Toronto. You'd be surprised, like that
Oh my
you
God,
can get
for
more,
sure.
more mileage out of your your dollars, in New Brunswick. And look,
House prices, rents, much
absolutely
cheaper.
everything, and you feel like part of a community, and you never know, you might actually end up staying there for longer. But if not, you get your PR, and then you can look for your options, maybe run that business remotely, and then go back to Ontario, BC, whatnot, and carry forward. I think it's a worthwhile investment. So yeah, and timelines are very favorable. I think it's like as fast as it can get, but obviously we wish we could grant PRs in like 3 months, but like this is as fast as you can go for. Yes, please.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So the actually one thing to note, just like you said, for people who reside in Canada, there are a lot of restrictions, caps on immigration programs. So it's really difficult for most people to get a PR right now. And as you probably know, towards the end of last year, IRCC released their immigration plans for 2025 to 2027. And as per that plan, the PNP's quotas, provinces, provincial nominee program quota, has been reduced by 50%. This is a serious reduction. And what we've been seeing is, especially in British Columbia, Ontario, etc., they are pausing some programs. Obviously, actually a lot of programs. They're conducting less frequent draws. One thing I noticed is, by the way, this is there is a similar business immigration PMP program in Nova Scotia, BC, etc. One thing I noticed, provinces, almost all of them have maintained their entrepreneur slash business immigration streams, and they are conducting regular draws, nonstop. Most PMP programs designed for, let's say, international students, foreign workers, most provinces don't even conduct draws. For example, BC conducted their first draw, I think, a month ago. Ontario just announced, actually this week, that they're changing the way that they're conducting draws, and they, I think, conducted their first major draw, I think, this week as well. So it shows that provinces are taking these entrepreneur PMP programs very seriously. They value them, and for obvious reasons, right? Like the provinces need to attract investments. One thing I think this might help our viewers. I want to talk about ideal candidate profile, right? Who should apply? Who should even consider this? If you have 5+ years business ownership in specific industry, um, proven record of supervising employees, experience with day-to-day business operations. Um, Obviously, you have that amount of money, verifiable financial capacity that shows that you have 500K plus uh, uh, capital. By the way, this 500K, it doesn't have to be liquid. If you can get it verified, it could be your property in your home country, etc. Who verifies it? These net worth verifiers, Grant Thornton LLP. These are the organizations that province accredited for this purpose. If you're
Do you
able
know how
to,
much do they charge? Like roughly, is it in the order of like 10K or like
no,
yeah?
much less.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
much less.
That
Um,
cannot be part of the investment. Like, it has to be separate.
yeah, for sure. And they specifically recommend not to work with these organizations for your business plan. It's a small detail, but it's an important detail. It's because they want to keep the process,
Yeah, and
fair.
like minimize conflict of interest, obviously.
Exactly, exactly. You have that net worth. You're able to invest 150K. You have strong financial documentation. You are in between the age of 1949. Relatively strong language skills, CLB 4 or 5. Post-secondary education and genuine interest to reside in New Brunswick. If you are this person, I think you should definitely consider this. Um, there are some important things that we should also mention quickly. And we were just talking about it, network verification. This must be done by the designated third-party professionals, as mentioned. One important thing, let's say you want to start the process, but let's say you don't have the required net worth amount, and you ask your friend to send you, I don't know, 200K. This is a major red flag. Inheritances, gifts, donations that was made the previous 6 months of your nomination application will not be eligible, and it might even lead to misrepresentation finding. The verification process can also take up to 90 days. Especially we see that this usually happens if you show your property back home as part of that net worth requirement. Obviously, that organization takes a bit longer time. Once again, to summarize, active management is required 75% of your time. Business plan. The province doesn't give you any feedback, any amendments. It doesn't allow you to amend the business plan after you submit it. So this is a very complex program, by the way, I must say. So it's not like you can go manage the process yourself. I mean, you can. Technically, on paper, there's nothing preventing applicants to apply by themselves, but I don't recommend it just because there's no room for making any mistakes. Even if you do, even if there is, that might cause a lot of delays. You must obviously also show that this proves economic benefit to New Brunswick. Passive investments are not accepted. This is very important. Uh, just because, let's say, you get a share, 50% of share of the business, and then the business already has an owner, and then you want that owner to manage it, and then you want to, let's say, you're okay to live in New Brunswick too, but you don't want to involve in daily operations. This is not accepted. For example, consultancy businesses are not accepted. E-commerce, online businesses are not accepted. Once again, we mentioned that job creation requirement, one position. This cannot be your family member. This is also important point for a lot of people. There will be tight time frames throughout the process to apply for nomination, to report your arrival, to submit performance review forms, etc. So you should
Can
be.
they and Farouk, can people start like verification before even submitting their expression of interest? Because that takes 90 days. I think an engineer would kind of get that going in the meantime, right? Because
Mhm, mhm.
they need that for the
That can be done.
nomination,
Yep,
right? So
yep,
just to
that can be done.
prevent any delays, I would, just try to maximize efficiency, do as much as possible concurrently. And what about the mix of, e-commerce and physical? Like, let's say, for example, a business
That's possible.
finds, like home care, and like finds nannies and like PSWs for people, like it's a common business. And I know Atlantic, they have a huge, retirement business in Atlantic. And by the way, for the knowledge of people, it's a bilingual province officially, like has English and French. So
Yeah,
don't be surprised, if you want to operate a business and there's a French speaking, business culture, and there's like like an English speaking business culture. Even there's a French speaking healthcare system and there's an English speaking healthcare system. They call it the Franco.
exactly. I would say
Yeah,
after Quebec, it's one of the provinces that that French is spoken widely. I would say 50-50%.
yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah,
Actually, one of my oldest friend is from the Acadian community. Acadian community is located in New Brunswick. It's the oldest French community that
yeah,
migrated to Canada even before Quebecers. So,
yeah.
um, but if you want me to clarify, I think it's worth mentioning that, for example, e-commerce, consultancies, home-based businesses, landlord property rental management businesses are not allowed. Bed and breakfast type of businesses are not allowed. Brokerage businesses, acting as an intermediary, that's not allowed. Financial services like payday loans, check cashing, those businesses are not allowed. Hobby farms are not allowed. Or any business conducted remotely outside New Brunswick, not allowed. Yeah, so this one, for example, operational history that we mentioned, the business has to be already profitable, and there must be a continuous operation by the same owner for at least 3 years. The owner has to be PR, Canadian PR, and citizen. Um, yeah, there's a summary here that people can take a look, but I think we covered the
And I encourage everyone to reach out to Farouk on this email, info@blackseaimmigration.com. If I suppose you can share a copy of this presentation
for
with
sure.
that is interested. Thank you so much, Farouk. This was very helpful. And
No problem at all. Thank you for having
and
me.
I think we have a few minutes actually right now to talk about why people are not really showing interest. So now maybe part of the reason was maybe like misunderstanding, like they didn't really know how the program works or whatnot. But the biggest pushback that I hear is that people for some reason they want to settle in Toronto or Vancouver. What are you seeing as the major pushbacks when you talk to entrepreneurs about the program? And how can of course, like you and I, we are all in the same team. We want to act on the best interest of the client, but sometimes like the client fail to see their best interest. They get misinformation, or they have false hope that somehow miraculously a PR gonna fall on their hands, and they miss out on some opportunities that the government put in front of them that they can very much qualify for and take advantage from. And so how can we address some of those concerns? What are they first and foremost, and what can the province, us, as supporters of the client, do to make them a tiny bit more comfortable?
Yeah, in my opinion, we talked about the process, right? Like obviously, before you take a step and do anything about this program specifically, you have to know what you want to do. You have to identify. Um, you need some support. Like I tell my clients, you need some support groups, not just immigration lawyer. You need a business advisor if necessary. You need an accountant, perhaps a local one in that province. Because if you're gonna buy an existing business, how it works is you go maybe work with and I highly recommend a local business broker. You do your online research, find the businesses that you might be interested. They send you NDAs, you sign the NDA, and then they release the financial statements to you. In this stage, you assess two things: if it's profitable, if it's eligible for this program, obviously. Second, if the numbers look good, right? The if do this assessment by yourself, you might make a lot of mistakes because this is a different country than your origin country. I feel like people interested in these kind of programs need a support group that consists of immigration lawyer, business advisor, business plan drafter. The business plan is one of the core documents of this program. You don't go and pay $1,000 for a business plan drafter that uses templates. And actually, this is one of the refusal grounds specifically mentioned in the PMP programs guideline. If the business plan shows that the local market is not researched properly, that's a ground for refusal. Because this shows that you're not that serious. You're making an investment, you don't even research the local market. When I say local, it's just like not just the New Brunswick's economy, like the industry's shape in that province. No, literally the location. It should probably start from general overview of the province, and then should go very deep and analyze the location that you're purchasing the business at, your competitors, etc. I think this is very crucial, and in my experience, this is the process that takes longer. Obviously, the process requires courage. It's an investment, but if you're an entrepreneur, this shouldn't be a problem for you. You just need to know the people that can help you throughout the process, and if you get to work with me, we have this ecosystem that can support applicants.
Of course, and I think like part of the pushback that people have, like perhaps against moving to New Brunswick or the Atlantic provinces, I suggest like just take a trip. If you're here in Toronto now, especially in the summertime, it's one of the be most beautiful places you can ever see. We have beautiful lakes here in Ontario, but it's very different when you're sitting in front of an ocean. Somehow you can feel the difference. I don't know. Like it's an ocean is much more beautiful, obviously, and it's relatively short. I think it's an hour and a half flight. Or you can take a drive. It's gonna take longer, but you can make it like a weekend trip out of it. Stay quickly in Montreal, and then sleep over and
Halifax.
yeah, Halifax. You can just go with your family. I suggest for if you want to really like it, probably start in Moncton. I would say Moncton is a little bit closer to Toronto, at least like at the downtown. Has some like high rises more than I would say Fredericton or St. John's, and it's really getting bigger. Like last I visited, there was a bunch of construction going on for like pretty high rise complexes. So you'd be surprised, like because the like most people think, oh, it's like a small city, there's nothing going on. What am I gonna do? What my
No,
kid's gonna do? No, it's a beautiful place. You're gonna have a ton of fun, and at a much more affordable rate than Toronto. So yeah, I
honestly, there are provinces like that people might be skeptical about going and investing and spending their time, like I don't know, Manitoba, but New Brunswick is not close to that. It's a beautiful province. I agree.
even Manitoba, like if one actually travels, yeah, like some winters, everybody says, "Oh, Manitoba is super cold," and it is, right? But it's sunny cold, like
Yeah, yeah.
you're sitting, you don't get depressed, it's like really, it's one of those colds that you feel like it's warm actually, but you go out, it's like, oh no, this is really cold, right? So it's like kind of misleading, like,
I agree.
but every province has its own advantages and beauties, and I firmly believe like you can make a life in, it's a nice place,
And
and
for a good purpose.
yeah, in a very straight pathway for your PR. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so like I would say, like give it a try. But it really comes down to the immigration community, really, to I think understand the program and really be able to advertise it. So we have a very strong network at Next Stars, and we love to be that business advisory slash business plan creator or M&A supporter. Helping you identify good quality businesses or start good quality businesses in the province. We have a pretty decent network in the province as well. Built some really like strong alliances with some local providers, especially like also in the immigration department and also like the grants. There's so much that you can do, but the intention has to be there. You really have to be serious about creating a business, and if you're an entrepreneur, you better be, right? So yeah, so with that, I wanted to once again thank you, Farooq, for your time for this thoughtful presentation that you prepared. I invite everyone to check out your profile on LinkedIn or check your website and reach out if they have any questions or they want to have access to the presentation, like the PDF that you presented. Again, my name is Saeed. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on YouTube or LinkedIn. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really makes us happy. Have a great day and speak soon.